The Panasonic Cup then is the feature race on the programme. Race at number 7 over the 1400 metres. You can, of course, head to the websites and catch the thoughts of Ed Sadler and Adam Campton this week on HK Direct. At the websites, you go to Multimedia Showcase, TV programme replay. There you'll see HK Direct. And it's Adam and Edward this week also. I'm there as well, speaking to Alexi Badel, learning more about the young riders. He starts his second stint here in Hong Kong. So that's HK Direct, available on, 2 days before, from around 6 o'clock on the website. As we push on, though, to the feature race, and headed by, this year, Booming Delights, who was run up in a Group 2 over a mile last time out. That was behind Beauty Generation, takes a drop in trip and class. Magic Legend, drop in class, up in trip. Douglas White's got an excellent record on the horse, though. Racing Supernova is last year's winner. Limitless is first up for this campaign. Exultant, very interesting first starter. And then down to People's Night, who goes back into Class 1. Excellent record on the all-weather. And on the turf, it must be said, here at Sha Tin as well. How do they look as far as the speed map's concerned?
Well, it's a smallish field here and a bit of conjecture as to what actually might happen speed-wise. Wame Friend was quite prominent in this race last year, and he's grabbed gate 1, which will help. Limitless, not entirely sure he'll be that far forward in the run. Magic Legend has been running over shorter, back to 1400. It's kind of primed for a horse who's maybe never led before to sort of take the bull by the horns. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out.
Yeah, Limitless is particularly interesting. I think he will be prominent, Paul, and what we've seen in the trials and the track work. But what's caught your eye? Yeah,
well, there's quite a few horses here that obviously were leading into this race. Western Express being the one who is the favourite at the moment. He's had some nice work leading into this particular contest. Some nice even sectionals, not really pushed out, but none of John Sizer's horses ever are. It's a really nice piece there. And then Simply Invincible, didn't mind this piece with Little Giant. Of course, Little Giant's been flying at the moment, and Simply Invincible's the one on the far side. He's working really nicely here going into this particular contest. Didn't run too badly last time. Here's his second piece as well. Now, I thought he really stretched out well when he was doing the solo gallop. Derek Long has done both the pieces of work on Simply Invincible as well. And don't forget, he was a Group 1 winner back in New Zealand. He's coming up at a reasonable price. Here's Limitless. Now, he's chasing Born Dragon, who's a lot less rated than him, but he did chase him home nicely enough. He's put on a little bit of weight, 50 pounds, which is a little bit of a concern. But he's been a bit of a handful at times. And this was just the other day, the 8th of November. I thought it was worth showing because Exultant on the inside, Winner's Way is generally a really good track worker. And he is going easy enough, to be fair, not pushed out. But I thought Exultant, he looked okay. I think he's going to be a nice recruit here to Hong Kong.
Yeah, Derby will be the long-term aim for him. Let's get straight into the key races. And we'll start off with the horse that's got to carry top weight. And maybe that will certainly be a shoulder burden. That is Booming Delight. The ever-consistent Booming Delight, it must be said. The other horse to take note of here is Western Express, who dropped back to his pet distance. He's 3 from 5 course and distance.
Yep, he goes very well at 1400. Booming Delight's not quite so good at 1400, or hasn't been so far. Most of his best runs have been at further. He's a lovely, lovely horse, the Booming Delight. He always gives you 100%. He really battled hard, and from a difficult draw, almost managed to overhaul Beauty Generation in the end. Western Express ran okay, maybe not quite as good as the market suggested he might be, but for me, Booming Delight is possibly going to be better when he goes over a little bit further, and he's got the big burden to carry as well here.
Yeah, he's only had the 2 starts, hasn't he? He's been placed once over 1400. There's no doubt he's a better horse over 1800 metres. If he gets the pace to suit, though, I mean, this is Class 1. This is a lot tougher race.
This is Werther here finishing off as well. It's a good race.
Yeah, I've got him in. I've got Booming Delight in for second. I think he can still run well.
All right, next horse we'll have a look at is Magic Legend. He's been up to the 14, down to the 1,000, back up to the 1,400 metres here. Clearly has the ability, and again, this is a very good race.
He wasn't quite. I didn't really quite know what to do with Magic Legend. He's drawn barrier 10, and he ran on nice enough. He has led before over 1,000. Well, sort of finished off his races over 1,000. Not sure exactly what his right distance is either. He's had 2 starts here again over the 1,400 metres, been placed once. In the end, I just left him out. I wasn't really sure what to do. He's got ability, but I don't know if this is his race.
Yeah, of course, he made rapid progress last season, didn't he? Maybe almost the progress he made was too rapid. He got up to a very high level very quickly. Again, I think his absolute best distance, as we've seen, obviously chasing home Mr. Stunning there.
Those are three of the best sprinters in Hong Kong in front of him.
Yeah,
I know.
And he's come home very well, but he has also run a flat race over 1400 already in his career, so he's a tricky one to weigh up here.
All right, that's Magic Legends. We've got a couple more to have a look at here. Last year's winner in Racing Supernova out the back there in the pink cap, almost with a circle around him, and the other one is Simply Invincible. Orange jacket, he's racing a bit more prominently. Well,
they've both, well, Racing Supernova's definitely come from a long way off the pace, and this was a very solid form race as well. And of course, as we've mentioned, he won this race, the Panasonic Cup last year, and there was a lot to like about this performance. And Simply Invincible has run two very good races over the 1400 as well. Slightly concerned with Simply Invincible that he's definitely going to need a pace on, as we've seen with the speed map. That's not guaranteed, but Racing Supernova has to be respected, and he really gobbled up the ground in the latter stages here as well, behind 50-50.
Yeah, it was a good form race, this one, 50-50, California Whip, also in that race as well. So I've got him in. I've put Racing Supernova in. I just ended up leaving Simply Invincible out. Although he is going very well, I thought a mile was his best distance.
Yeah, OK, so down over the 1400 metres might not be a positive for him. Two more to have a look at. Limitless, we saw a bit of track work from him. This is him trialling. Again, another good trial. And Racing Supernova in here as well. Down the outside, does a lot of good work late.
Yeah, he does. That's why I managed to sneak him in, Racing Supernova, and he did come out of that really good form race. Limitless has got plenty of ability, and he has, you know, that win when he came through the inside was pretty special last season. But 50 pounds, barrier 9, I had him in originally, but when I saw this body weight and went and had another look at his track work, I left him out then.
It was a very easy trial, but he always strikes me as the type of horse who's always going to trial well. Going at sort of 90%, he's fine, but when the taps are really turned on, Limitless has a little bit of a history, not all the time, but a little bit of a history of finding one or two ways to think about not winning.
He might be a bridle horse. He might be that, but he's got a lot of ability
as
well. All right, so one more to take a check on, and that is Exultant, the first starter for Tony Cruz, with jockey Matthew Chadwick.
Exultant Matthew, he's a horse that's come here with quite a few reps from Ireland. How do you feel he's going leading into his first up run?
He's a nice little horse. He feels well in the morning. Again, he's one that needs to race now, the race fitness. He'll definitely improve off the run, and seems like he's got some improvement and some upside about him.
Michael Helford, his trainer in Ireland, described him as a horse with a good attitude, lovely action, good turn of foot. Has he shown those things to you and your experience with him so far?
Well, with the short time that we've had him and I've ridden him in, he's definitely a lovely ride. He's got a lovely character. And he seems to be improving, and his work seems to be, he does what you ask him to do. And as for the turn of foot, we'll have to see on Saturday. Third
in the Irish 2000 Guineas this season. He's here for the Derby. This is where he starts.
Yeah, and then he went on to Royal Ascot, was fifth in the Hampton Court Stakes. Irish Correspondent was his name, if you want to look him up in the Irish form book. And yeah, there's been a lot to like about his trials so far, but I do tend to think that the aim is over further in March.
I think this will be a horse to follow coming out of this race. I like the way that trial was. He hit the line of the trial nicely, and he was in front after about 10 metres. They didn't pull him up. He hit the line very well. So I actually snuck him in for fourth. I wouldn't be surprised if he ran okay without winning.
Yeah, OK, so he's a big player as well. Exultant there for the Cruz camp. But who's on top now?
Course and distance specialist for me is Western Express, so I think he's going to be very tough to beat. I've got him on top of Booming Delight. I know 1400 is not his best, but he's still been running against group horses, and this will be a bit easier for him, although he has to carry the weight. Racing Supernova, last year's winner for third, and Exultant will give him a chance to run on, but I still see it as an exotic way to go. 3, 1, 5 and 9.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky race from a form analysis perspective, but I'm going to go with Racing Supernova, last year's winner, to get the job done again. He's a little bit higher in the weight, and he's actually much worse off with a horse called Wame Friend, who might well get a nice run in this race. If there's not much pace on from gate 1, he can get himself into a good position. I think he might be worth a little go at a big price. Western Express, 3 from 5, as Andrew said at the trip, and Simply Invincible, if they go a bit harder out in front than the speed map suggests, he will definitely be staying on, and while others have had enough. So I think it's an interesting race. I think QQP horses 5 and 8 there representing the form from this race last year.
Limitless. One more time for me. Hopefully we can catch him fresh. That was the feature race at the Panasonic Cup. Quick break for us. Back with the 8th on the other side of this.